Welcome to happinessblindspot.com. I'm Kimberly Sumner. It's great to have you here with me today, looking at work motivation, or why actually we can struggle with work motivation, and more importantly, why we sometimes can't even hear or aren't even aware of what makes our hearts sing. Now, I want to take a step back a little bit, and rather than looking at what are the direct steps to uncovering what we want in our lives, instead, how do we uncover what's blocking us from hearing our hearts? And I say this because in amongst all the noise and busyness in our lives, our hearts know what we want. It's just we can't hear them. In fact, most of the time we're operating in the front part of our brains rather than in our limbic brains or our emotional brains, that part of our brain most intimately connected with our body and with our hearts. So when we're struggling with what our hearts really want, we need to turn this on its head, really. And what I mean by this is we can tune into our emotional brain through our immediate responses to other people. In other words, our reactions to other people, or the buttons that get pressed by them, actually reveal how our hearts feel. So when we have a reaction to someone else, when our buttons are pressed, when we want to offer them advice, but with that real strong sense of they must take our wisdom, the counsel we want to give them is really a reflection of the counsel we need to take on board ourselves. And it's this advice, when we can incorporate it into our lives, that gives us a much better gives us very personalized and powerful clues about what we need to tap into our life purpose or what makes our hearts sing. So to give you an example from my own life, recently I noticed I was giving some strong words or sort of a lot of counsel to a girlfriend who I thought was procrastinating a bit and was really struggling with issues of self-promotion. And on reflection, certainly I gave her a lot of wise advice, but on reflection, I realized the counsel I was offering her was the advice I needed to take on board myself. I was struggling in my business and in growing what really made me passionate about life and promoting my business, which is connecting with you guys, because I was feeling shy around self-promotion and also some sort of unconscious drivers there or fears really playing on me of what I needed to give up. And what I mean by this is early on in our lives, we learn very particular responses to receive love from our earliest caregivers. And as such, even when we know we need to do things a certain way, it can be very difficult to let go of those, it can be tricky really to let go of learned responses we have for receiving love. And why I highlight this is because in my case, I have a lot of learned responses around spending a whole lot of time on getting all the detail right, dotting I's and crossing T's. And while detail certainly is an important part of growing a business, if I spend too much time on that, it takes me away from really connecting from the issues of self-promotion. I also found in the advice I was offering her, and I reflected that or mirrored that back to myself, was one of the reasons I was struggling with promotion was there was too much of a sense of self-comparison rather than being authentic to my heart's process. So I realized when I sat back and really took account of this advice and connected more intimately with my heart, I could hear what my heart was telling me, and that was to let go of all the self-comparisons and really just connect in a way that was authentic and honest for me. And in that way, I'm just turning it on its head. I want you to see that sometimes it's not sort of a direct route of A to B, find out what we need. In fact, there's so much noise in our lives that it's very hard to tap into what our hearts really want. Our emotional brains, or our limbic brains, are more directly connected to our hearts, and as such, we can use our immediate responses to others, our buttons that get pushed, to tap into what is really important to us, what we value, and what makes our hearts sing. So in terms of next week, an exercise I want you to focus on, or even retrospectively looking back over your last week, I want you to pay attention to any strong reactions you've had to others. So where they push your buttons, and specifically what about that button pushing, what's bothering you. Now, they may be acting pretty dorky, or they may be really needing your advice, but equally, the strength of your reaction to them reveals what you need to take on board yourself. In fact, that's one of the reasons we are actually magnetically drawn to people, as our hearts invite us to see what's currently sitting in our blind spot. Hopefully that helps. I look forward to catching up with you next time in our weekly blind spotting session, or Find Your B Spot. In the meantime, be sure to tune in with me on Facebook at Happiness Blind Spot, on Google+, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for being with me here today. happinessblindspot.com, connecting hearts and heads together using relationship cues.